What's poppin'? It's your boy Moses, aka Nomo, chilling right here inside the Lit Outlet studio with another episode of the Lit Outlet podcast. I got a very special guest in the building. I got Mr.
Chris Sour Apple.
That's right. Welcome to the podcast, my boy.
Thanks for having me, bro.
Welcome to Southgate. The first and last time you're ever gonna be in Southgate. The only time fools pull up to Southgate to be on the podcast. What do you know about Southgate, my boy?
I like Southgate actually, bro. I mean, you guys are really close to Downey. Downey has a lot of stuff. And then Southgate also is famous, bro. They got the Walmart, bro. People acting like they don't go to Walmart, bro.
Facts.
So Walmart's there. And there's all the good eats. They got the In-N-Out there. So I'm around the area quite often.
That's right. Where did you grow up? Where you from?
I'm born and raised in Boyle Heights. It's a little city next to East LA. Pretty much was there my whole life, man. Euclid Elementary, Stevenson Middle School, and then around like 13, 14, my mom moved me out to Monterey Park. And then from there, I went to high school at Mark Keppel.
Mark Keppel.
Yeah.
The famous Mark Keppel.
Mark Keppel, man.
That's right. You know, my family's from East LA, dog. I love East LA. But the thing about East LA that not a lot of people know is like the little rivalry between Boyle Heights and East LA.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you're in Boyle Heights, you're like, this is not East LA, this is Boyle Heights. Did you have any memories about people tripping about East LA and Boyle Heights?
Yeah, and all the time, bro. And I think that even happens to this day. It's like people take that shit real serious, man. I mean, I'm not to say I don't. Like, I mean, if someone calls where I grew up, East LA, I'll be like, kind of. I'll try to be understanding because maybe they're not residents. But I mean, at the end of the day, bro, Boyle Heights is its own city. And it's beautiful, bro. I mean, we got the culture there. It's getting a little gentrified now, you know. But, I mean, I still think Boyle Heights is dope. A lot of people still go there to shoot videos, Mariachi Plaza, the bridges, you know. Mm-hmm. So it's fire.
Yep. Shout out to one of our sponsors, Chalio Sporting Goods, who's out there in Boyle Heights at Ramon Garcia Park, aka El Hoyo, right there off Grande Vista, in between Lorena and all these dope ass streets. Shout out to them. Some people might be watching and seeing you for the first time. If someone were to ask you what you do for a living, what would you say?
So pretty much what I do is I have my company called Sour Apple Agency, and we assist with like brand awareness, marketing. We even do talent development for artists, influencers, brand partnerships. We kind of just assist with any marketing needs, specifically digital marketing. You know, it could be a small business, it could be a podcast, could be, you know, anything that you can really market, really. So,
you know, for me, PR and marketing is such an advanced, college level word. Well, how would you break down marketing in like layman's term, or someone just, in basic English?
I think it's just maybe saying we're gonna help spread the word, right? That's really what it is, and we're gonna help your brand get in places that it probably wouldn't have been in, or maybe just it would take a little longer on your own to be in. So we just kind of give you that extra push, that guidance. Sometimes you might just need a sense of direction, and we kind of just guide you the right way.
Also, too, I think it's important for people to understand that, as a Latino in the space that you chose to, grow up and be a businessman in, there's not a lot of you guys out there. As far as being Hispanic, being at your age, and already knowing the people that you know and people that you work with. Give me like a short list or long list, because I'm sure there's a long list of people that you've worked with that some people may have heard of before.
Man, the list is pretty long, but I've been able to, work with LA Icon. I've been able to work with Concrete. I've been able to work with Jay Valentino. I've been able to book a lot of big guests for podcasts. Yeah, man, honestly, it's tough naming everybody that I've been able to do business with or have relationships with. But I'm so grateful, like you said, man, to be in these rooms or these places, because it's a combination of the years that I've put in mixed with the work ethic. With those two, that's kind of what you kind of get now,
Depending on what industry you're in, whether it's sports or like music or just entertainment in general, the landscape's always changing. Something that worked last year may not work this year, right? Mm-hmm. What are some of the things in marketing that you've noticed that used to work really good and now let's say it's corny? Because for one thing that I've always kind of thought about is whenever you show a video, you see it and it says sponsored or ad or when you put money behind a good video, sometimes that turns people off, right? What are some of the things that are out of style when it comes to marketing?
It's for us specifically the sponsored videos. It kind of just depends how you look at it, right? For us, it might be corny, or it might look a little, bland or whatever. It might take away from the image or the video. But I think that just that alone, putting it in X amount of viewers' eyes, it's like it's the pro versus the con, right? You have to invest money into ads, and although there's a certain way to do it, I still think that's a valuable thing that has been working in the past and is working now. Google ads, Facebook ads, I think those are very valuable. Just knowing how to use them is the key, right? Because that's available to everyone. It's just more how or what post, or how much should I put in. I think those are the questions that people need to be asking. But ads is definitely the way to go.
You recently were on a podcast with LA Icon. Um, Before that, I'm not sure if I ever saw you on a podcast or consistently on a podcast. What are your rules of going on people's podcasts?
Before I was really against it. I was getting asked, frequently, and then I think people just got the hint. I just didn't want to do any podcasts. I think I was in a building stage last year, and I still currently am in the building stage, right? Because I'm always trying to perfect my business, my craft. But I think it's important to get on these podcasts because people always tend to tell me, "Hey, man, what you're doing is inspiring me," or "Hey, man, like you got me to, do this or do that." And I think that just goes a long way because I didn't really have that. Like you said, like there's not really people that are growing up trying to be behind the scenes in music, right? So I didn't really idolize anybody. So it took the Jimmy Humildes and the people that are now here, now trending. It's like those are the people it took, but I was coming up at the same time, so I couldn't really idolize them. Now, of course, I idolize them, right? They're huge, and it's not just Jimmy; it's a bunch of people. But I'm just saying, like people behind the scenes, signing the artists, managing the artists, making the plays, connecting the bridges. They're valuable. So, like you said, man, I just think it's important to share my story because who knows, I could inspire the next gen. So.
Um, I've definitely, I followed you for a minute on Instagram and in social media in general, and I've seen you take pictures and be in rooms with some of the most famous people that, our community knows, and even outside our community, right? How long did it take, or were you ever not starstruck being in the same rooms as some of these A-list celebrities?
I think it's not that I'm not starstruck, right? It's always an honor to meet people like Fluffy, or JOP, or Junior H, or Mario Lopez. It's always an honor because these are people that we watched growing up. George Lopez, Tommy Chong. Man, this is like so many people that I kind of can't even name because I feel bad when I don't name everybody. But my personality, I think, is what makes me not get starstruck. I'm just not a very excited person. You know what I mean? I'm very just calm, laid back, and even in the most exciting times, I'm just like, all right, cool. Like, what's next? I'm always thinking about like, what's next? What's next? So I think it's bad, right? But it's also, I'm just building right now, man. I'm just working, and I'm always looking for at the next project at how we can get better. So maybe when I'm older and I'm retired, then be able to look back and be like, okay. But right now, I think I'm just focused on going. That I don't really have time to just sit back. And it's funny because whenever I have people around me and I know we're gonna be around celebrities, I'll be like, yo, bro, like you can come, but please, like, don't fan out. Please, like, don't ask for no pictures. Like, if there's an opportunity for a picture, I promise to get you a picture. But I always usually have to give that speech because it's like I know not everybody's like the way I am, right? So, but it's normal, man. Like, I was telling Icon, I think on the last podcast, I was like, I think we're just so jaded to it now because it's just like it happens so often and it's just like a weekly thing that we're just like, yeah, oh, cool, we're having drinks with George Lopez and Fluffy, then doing this, and It's crazy. It's crazy, you know, to be able to just, you know, text some of these record label owners is surreal sometimes.
That's dope. I want to know how exactly you got into the marketing because I know you used to play sports in high school. Maybe you did a little bit of music, but I want you to let us know how you kind of, well, not maybe fell onto this path, but how you decided this was a path for you.
So I kind of think sports and music are very similar. You know, you hear you see a lot of podcasts and a lot of people say like, hey, you know, it's funny because athletes want to be rappers and rappers want to be athletes, you know, and it's kind of just one of those things. You know, I was playing football, I was playing at ELAC, and around that time, you know, I was a quarterback there, and I wasn't getting too much PT, so I was just kind of laying back, chilling, and I was just looking for something exciting. I had already gone to a couple studios in high school, like, so it was kind of already a thing, but I just didn't know if I was really gonna take it serious. And you know, I had a bunch of yes men on the football team, right? You're the quarterback, right? So everybody hyping me up, like, oh, bro, you can rap, bro. I'm right there freestyling for everybody. And then I kind of just was like, you know what? I'm gonna give this a shot. You know, I realized, you know, a few years, I was like, you know what, this rapping thing is not for me, man. But I love music and I love putting things together. And people would always tell me, like, who's managing you, bro? And that's what I think kind of made me realize, like, oh shit, like, I'm doing so well and I know how to brand myself so well that people think I have representation. So I was like, let me help other people look this way. And you know, it just boom, bro. It's just started with my friends, like, yo, bro, let me manage you, let me talk to these promoters for you, like. And then I kind of seen the effect it gives, like, where it's like not letting the artist do business, letting the artist be a star while you're conducting the business. It allows the rest of the world to see the artist for what he is, right? When the artist is trying to wear the manager hat and this hat and this hat, it's like, you're not gonna take that kid serious because he's don't got a team, right? But I seen how, you know, a lot of people were trying to be Kobe, not a lot of people were trying to be Phil Jackson. You know, that's kind of one of those things, man.
You know, in the world we live in today, especially when it comes to rap and just entertainment in general, everyone loves to shout out La Russell, right, Russ, and doing everything independent, doing it all yourself. You know, me being an independent podcaster for the last few years, I've definitely have hit a wall where this is partly as far as I can go by myself. Do you recommend everyone to start off with a manager? You know, get your bumps and bruises independently. Like, what is the route that you would recommend for someone starting today?
It's a good question. I think a lot of people have this question. I think when the proper time to get representation is when you have things to be managed. So a lot of people have a misconception where it's like, I need a manager because it'll make me look professional and because it'll help me, you know, get X, Y, and Z. Yes, but not entirely, right? You still have to go and build a certain demand for your brand. And once that demand is there and it's overwhelming for you, that's when you get a manager. A lot of people think, well, at this point, I don't need a manager. I've already built all this by myself. It's like, if you have that mindset, then you're never gonna build bigger than what it is, right? For you specifically, bro, like what you're doing with your podcast is fire. You know, I think the branding aspect, the merch, the you know, the Patreon, the guests that you're getting, I think you're on the right track. I think for you, it's just about consistency, just putting in more years, getting in your 10,000 hours, you know. But for the rest of the world, right, it's case by case, right? Not everybody is at the level of Lillet Outlet. Not everybody. You gotta focus on your own journey. That's another thing that people do, where I see it affects them. It's like comparing your journey to the next man's, and it's like, that's very wrong, because then you're gonna demotivate yourself. You're gonna start giving yourself anxiety, and you're gonna start. It's like, no, just focus on your path. You know, lay out a plan. I said this in the last pod. Like, it's crucial, man. It's very important.
Would you consider yourself a Hispanic, Latino entrepreneur, marketer? Like, you know, do you lean into just having mostly Hispanic clients, or that's just the way it works out for you?
You know what? it wasn't intentional at first, but I guess that's just the people that gravitate towards me the most. You know, I think I'm also able to understand where our culture comes from, and I think I don't look at our culture as dollar signs, right? I look at our culture and I'm in love with it, right? So it's like I don't want to do anything that's gonna make our culture look bad, or it's gonna jeopardize our values and our character, right? So I think people see that in me, bro, and they know that I move with genuine intentions, and it just leads to domino effect, bro. Next creator's gonna tell this creator, the next podcast is gonna see this, or people see it. People see it, and that's a big thing. People think, "Oh, nobody's supporting me." People are watching. And just because they're not liking and they're not commenting, people are supporting you. People have their own ways of supporting, but you can't focus on numbers too much. I can go in on how many things people do wrong, but it's like everybody is different, and I think I'm just telling you guys the common mistakes that I see. But if you can just focus up, man, get tunnel vision, it's right there.
Definitely don't want to give away too much of the sauce because you're always looking for new clients, right? But we're definitely going to give away some of the sauce, knowing the kind of guy that you are, that you're very generous with your information. Maybe not your time, but for sure your information. That's why I thought it was important to invite you to the podcast, because I'm sure if somebody out there listening or watching that's going to get some good information from this. What is the difference between an influencer, right, and someone who just posts on social media?
I think you have to get paid in your profession in order to be considered actually that, right? So if you're a rapper, to me, right, this is my opinion, I think you need to be making money in rap before I can call you a rapper, right? You got to earn that, right? I think a lot of things right now, it's so easy to access, so it's easy to give yourself a title for something, right? But same thing, influencer, I think as soon as you have brands that believed in what you're building and have paid you or have sent you products, or because I believe that even sending product, that's value. That costs the company something. And for them to take your address down and make sure you got on a PR list and send it to you, you matter, right? It's a lot of influencers get the misunderstanding, oh, they just want to send me free stuff. I mean, sometimes that's what it is, right? It's what you do with that. Who's to say you get a free box of clothes from somebody and you do a kick-ass video for them? How do you know they're not going to pay you on this next thing for another video? You just gave them an example of something that they would get. Not to mention all the other brands that see, right? It's free content for you to make. So, but it's give and take, right? There is a lot of brands that will take advantage of that. So I can kind of feel that's kind of what I'm there for, right? I'm there to, be that wall and kind of just filter what's, genuine and what's not. Some people don't want to pay or undervalue, and I'm just kind of that mediator for the influencer and the brands.
Is there a certain level of professionalism a person has to have for you to be able to, give them the benefit of the doubt for you to start managing them? For example, like a rapper, do they have to have their Spotify, their Apple Music set up, their Google search on point, their thumbnails, whatever it is, their art for their artwork? Like how much do you accept, or you take anybody and everybody?
Well, I don't want to say I take anybody and everybody, but we do assist with everything you just named. I mean, we can get it done for you. So that's kind of what we offer, and I have to break down case by case. What I look for from my clients is the work ethic. That's a very big piece. Your personal life also matters to me. A lot of managers don't care about your personal life, but I do, right? Because if you're not there mentally, and if you got stuff going on at home, then I know you're not going to be able to execute when it's time to put you in the game. So all these things matter to me, man. That's why I say being a manager is not just being a manager. You're a life coach, you're a mentor, you're everything to these artists or to these clients. And I take my job very serious, my business very serious. So I only accept clients if I feel that I can benefit them 100%. And it's nothing I don't take it personal when my client says, hey, you know what, I want to go in this direction. That's super fine. And that's why I think I have a great relationship and a great reputation with everybody that I encounter, because, and I'm not trying to hold you back from anything, bro. I want to see you grow, and if that means you working with another manager, so be it, man. I don't really do this for the money. And I know it sounds like cliche because it's like, oh, what do you mean? But it's like, no, man, like this is not really about the money for me. It's the feeling that I get from helping people achieve their dreams. That's really what it is. Obviously, I still run a business, man. I gotta eat and I gotta feed my family, but you know, I get a lot of satisfaction from helping people.
Since you're behind the scenes on, I'm not sure if you run anybody's Instagram, but you definitely help with the publication of posts, or getting people's eyes on certain things. Do you agree, or do you feel like people are just making excuses when it comes to things like the algorithm, shadow banned, and Instagram not liking you? Like, how true is some of that stuff, and and is it just people are not posting the right stuff?
It's both. It's both. Shadow banning is a real thing. I've had friends, colleagues that get shadow banned, and then what happens is you're not able to be found by any other accounts unless they like type in your full name, and then still it might not come out. But yeah, it's really tough when that happens to you. But I mean, there's ways to get by everything. And there's really no excuse. I mean, how long does it take you to make a new Instagram account? Couple minutes. Couple minutes to make a new email, your Gmail, and then connect it to Instagram. And people might complain like, oh, my follower count, but then you should have been doing the research and figuring out. And there's warnings before you get shadow banned. There's warnings before you get your account deleted. So it's really you not doing your homework and you not being responsible. So there's a lot of things that go into it. But as far as social media management, again, that's another service we offer. I have done it for creators and businesses. I've signed, usually I sign NDAs, so can't really disclose too much. But yeah, man, I mean, it's a job, and I understand sometimes that people are like, oh, well, I got to go create the content. I can't really focus on, but there's ways, man. There's apps. I think you can even schedule posts, and yeah, so it's really about sitting down and really getting organized, which most of the time a lot of people don't want to do.
Most people in our age and our ethnicity, whatever you want to call it, aren't as well spoken as you are, which I've definitely been trying to work on for the last couple years. Speaking proper English, maybe not so much of a second grade language English. I'm trying to, work on my reading level without reading and stuff like that. It's important to me to sound more professional, because me 5 or 10 years ago was talking completely different, right? But now I feel like sounding more professional is very important for me personally, right? Is that something that you found easy, that you were always well spoken, or did you have to learn the hard way like some of us?
No, man. And just to say this first, I don't think I'm the best well spoken. I just know what I'm talking about, and I usually don't speak on things that I have no information on. I hate it. Like, I hate when people are giving me advice on something that they have no idea on. So usually, if I sound like I know what I'm talking about, it's most likely because I do. But yeah, just to continue on to your question, I don't think I'm the most well spoken, man. I think I learned just like everybody else. But when you're confident in what you do, you start just talking that shit, and you just know what to say and you know how to say it. I've been in rooms where I get schooled, and they're like, "You mean this?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, like yeah, that," But you know what I meant, So it's just getting the wording down, and But I also like to be that example of you don't have to be too professional. Because a lot of the times people think you have to have this degree and you got to have the suits and you got to have, the nice cars and this and the jewelry. It's like, you don't really got to have all that. It's nice, if that's what you're into and stuff like that. But I mean, usually, I like to have on a blank tee. I like to chill. Look, I came to the podcast in some shorts, a hoodie. It's not always, you don't always have to try to be something you're not. And that's another thing that I like running my own business, and I like doing things my own way, where it's like, okay, I can kill it and I can dress however I want. I don't need to pretend to be this professional guy. It's like, no, man, I'm from East LA, bro. Like, I don't ever want that to go away. Like, but there are times, right, where it's like you go to the Grammys or you go to, these certain events, these label parties, you do got to dress up and you got to play the part. But hey, most of the time, if, I like to do things my way.
What is a lane or a market that you feel like it's untapped? If someone were to ask you, what is something that I can make money on, maybe in the near future, what would you suggest?
Outside of entertainment,
Just
you're
in
saying?
general, anything, bro.
Man, that's a tough one, man. There's a bunch of things that you can do to make money. There's a bunch of things that I want to kind of venture into, after I'm kind of done with this entertainment space. But man, it's really, there's a bunch of ways to make money. I think, what I tell people too is, what do you have a passion for? Because I've gone my whole life, right, trying things, right? So I know what I don't like. But I tell people, if you can figure out what you do like, you don't have to waste that much time, right? So if you like making people look fresh and making people look good and feel good, maybe you want to be a barber and go start a barber shop. And, I have a buddy of mine started a barber shop with 10,000, 4 chairs, 4 barbers, then was able to sell it and then boom, go do something else. So and he wasn't even a barber, bro. You know what I mean? So shout out Walter. But there's a bunch of ways to make money. It's really how you want to do it. I see a lot of people doing the trading. I think that's dope if you can get into that. But it could be as little as even buying vending machines, man, putting vending machines into these places, or just building small sources of income is what can set you up for financial freedom. And that's kind of what I want to get to. Right now, right now, my hours and my time is more valuable than money. That's what I believe, right? So I may not have as much money as the next man, but I probably don't have to use as many hours as the next man. So, it's just thinking smarter, without working too hard. And I know a lot of our parents, or our grandparents, all they taught us was work hard, like go get the check and provide for your family. And it's like, but now we're in a new generation, man. Like, there's so many tools that they didn't have back then, so you can't blame them for thinking that way. But now it's like, you don't really have to go bust your ass and like hurt your back and do all that extra stuff, bro. Like, there's opportunity everywhere. It's just how you view it.
As far as in the Hispanic space, whether it comes into entertainment or just, in the culture in general, what are some of the things that people are overlooking as like, where do we need more people? Because I feel like, in my opinion, we have enough rappers, I think. Or do you think we need more rappers, more entertainers? Like, what is a void in the Hispanic space that we need more of?
We need more. It's tough to answer this question because it's happening. So we're becoming more business oriented. Like, we're starting more businesses. I see a lot of kids starting side hustles now in high school and junior high. So I was gonna say more, entrepreneurs, right? But I think it's happening. I think it's happening in comedy. I think it's happening in rap. I think it's happening with businesses. I think it's happening with almost everything. So, I think right now we're headed in a good direction. I just think people just gotta figure out what they want to do, man. It goes back to that. You can't figure out what you want to do unless you go out there and try some things.
What are some of the things? Let's say you have a client that's looking for sponsorship or looking for money in different avenues. What are some of the things that would make them look radioactive, where some of the big companies would not want to work with maybe somebody that you know? And what would be the advice you have for them? What makes somebody radioactive?
So you're pretty much asking me how does someone stand out from other people, or
What makes McDonald's not want to work with somebody? Like, because they say too many bad words, they portray this image. What's the fastest way to not get sponsorship?
well, by not preparing, right? Not doing your homework. Everything is strategic. Everything, especially with me. Every move is strategic. Every conversation is strategic. And every approach is a strategic approach. So there's, it's not really too hard to figure out the brand's identity and what its target audience, right? So, for example, Disney, right? Let's just randomly say Disney. You off rip already know who their demographic is and, their branding. And so with them, you're not going to pitch them in an event that you have with weed vendors and alcohol, and so that wouldn't be it, right? So it's just process of elimination. For me, I've been doing this so long that I have built relationships with a lot of these companies. So it's just not using them, but it's just reaching out to them when I feel like it's something that fits their brand or their company, and that's kind of what it is.
Okay. You've also been throwing the events, right? Well, what do you call them? Is it the pop-out event?
For this one, it was just called the meetup.
The meetup.
It's just something I came up with on the fly. I didn't really give it too much time. Just made sure no one had it, and I was like, all right, cool, let's just throw it.
What are some of the goals you have when you throw an event like the meetup?
They're different goals, so it just depends on the event. But for the meetup specifically, it was to help Latino entrepreneurs pretty much have a safe place to come and promote their brand. Obviously, I have the platform, I have the audience. I just kind of put people there that wanted to shop, or I selected brands that I thought were dope, and we just kind of made like a little farmer's market type of thing. This is the first time I did it, so I didn't really have experience doing it prior, but we still had about 20 something vendors. There were some unforeseen circumstances, which kind of sucked, right? Like location changing and everything last minute. But man, even with all that, I still had about 150, 200 people there. So it was dope to see. The events that I really like throwing, man, honestly, are the speaking panels. I think those are something that I'm working on this next one. I don't want to say too much, but I think those are very important for the culture. Us giving each other game, So obviously, there has to be a price, right? A price point, right? I can't, the bigger guests I get, the more the event costs, right? So I have to kind of figure out how the technical, like the details of this, because usually I try to make these events free and accessible, right? Because I want people to learn. I don't want to charge people for game, but it's tough trying to stay in that line where also I have expenses now. So I'm trying to figure out, the details of this event. But I mean, I think the panels are very valuable for the culture, because that's something that we don't have a lot of.
You definitely had panels before. Who are some of the people you've had speak at your panels?
Man, had Rock and Roll G speak at the panel. We've had Super Ego, Jay Mendoza, Ugly Primo, San Juaner, Concrete, Jay Valentino, Pero Noche. Yeah, man, we've had a lot of. We did Latinos in radio. We had Gabby Diaz. We had Chuy Martinez, Jackie Ramirez hosting, Lechero. Yeah, Melissa Rios. Some pretty cool panels.
Do you think radio is dead?
No. I don't think radio will ever die. It's something that it's instilled in our cars. I think now radio will kind of just inherit podcasting, but radio will still go, right? It's already there, right? With Brown Bag, right? It's like Brown Bag was a thing, and then kind of Power 106 just kind of put their stamp on it, right? Now it's on air. So I think a lot of radios are going to play catch up, where they might just start picking up podcasts and just putting them on air. But, something that, because I have a lot of radio friends, something that I kind of learned too is radio is not like podcasting, right? Like some people might have the podcasting, but they might not have the radio voice. So it still takes a lot of, transitioning, but I think it's dope. I think radio's dope. I think podcasting is dope. But yeah, radio's definitely not going anywhere.
Do you feel like LA culture is separate from, Hispanic or Mexican culture, or are they so intertwined with one another that LA culture is its own thing, or is it the same for you? Like, when you think about LA culture, like what comes to mind?
Think about LA culture. That's a good question, because you're right. I do think about like lowriders. Think about graffiti. I think about
Delotero.
yeah, street vendors for sure. Yeah, and that's really our culture, really. So that's a good question. I never really saw it like that, though. I guess when people ask, they never really ask like, oh, your view on both things back to back. But yeah, now that you mention it, Dodgers, right? That's part of LA culture. Lakers, right? All our dynasties.
Well, I think when you narrow it down to it, like the name Los Angeles is a Spanish name. It's Los Angeles, right? Los Angeles de la Virgen de Guadalupe, right? So like it's been Spanish from the beginning, and I feel like it's important to remind people that, people want to say that we just got here in the 80s, or this city used to be this, and this city used to be predominantly this race, and now it's us. Or like we've been here since the beginning. That's why it's a Spanish city name.
Yeah.
And I think people just tend to forget that.
They do. I think, it's a lot of just people not being informed, or people really just not caring, But then again, I think people know. I think I'm one of those people that's like, I'm not trying to get someone to understand my message at any cost. Like if you get it, bro. And it's okay to disagree, That's why I never talk about politics, bro. I don't like having conversations where I know it could lead to an argument, bro. It's like, it's pointless.
Yeah, I need to chill, man.
Nah, bro. Well, when you're in a podcast space, that's good to watch. I like to watch stuff like that.
Yeah, it's entertainment at the end.
Yeah, I like to watch stuff like that too. So don't get it twisted.
Who's your dream client right now that you're thinking about? If you don't have to share if you don't want to, but
dream client.
What do you think? Like, if you had to give an elevator pitch to somebody in the elevator, and then in a quick 2 or 3 minutes, tell them what you can do and what your vision for them would be. Like, is there somebody that comes to mind that you feel like you got their next few steps in mind?
Man, that's tough. I don't really have their next steps in mind, because it would probably take me some time to figure it out. But man, there's a bunch of clients that I would love to represent. Currently a lot of these clients are represented by great people too, so I'm trying to be specific. Let me see. Let me try to name somebody. I would want to do an actor. I would want to do like a Ben Affleck, or like a Denzel Washington.
Interesting. Denzel?
Yeah, I would want to do somebody that's just actively getting roles pitched to them. Brad Pitt, just something crazy, because at that point, you're the one filtering out his work, right? Like, oh, this one would be perfect for Brad. Let me put this one to the side. That's what I want to do. I tend to work with a lot of people still coming up, so the demand is not really there most of the time, right? Not to say it's not there, but how I can imagine it being, it's not, right? So That would be exciting for me, working with an A-lister. It doesn't have to be those three, but just trying to paint the picture of like, that's where I would want to do, like, and then just helping them start a business outside of whatever they're building, right? So, hey, Brad, like, why don't we do this, and we can, build this facility and do, something, just being able to do stuff like that would be cool, or even an athlete, bro. An athlete would be so fire, getting into the NIL space and being an agent. That would be cool too. Jerry Maguire.
What are some of the things that you do on your free time? 'Cause sometimes I find myself struggling to turn off the business voice, or like the this could be a podcast voice, or that could be a question voice, or I should interview this person voice. Like, are you still allowing yourself to use social media as a space to distract yourself from your job, or from, like, the real world, and just take some time for yourself? Or is it hard for you to turn it off?
Yeah, I'm the worst person to ask this question because I don't turn it off. If I'm online, I'm working. I don't even have the TikTok app. I only go on it if a client needs me to look at something he posted, or even just to keep track of my client's numbers. But yeah, most of the time, man, I'm on Instagram, or I'm on, Facebook, and I'm working. I'm coming up with new strategies. I'm, watching other people's content to see, okay, this. But I like it, man. I don't look for social media to distract me. I use it to help me make money. Something with, like, if I want to turn off, I'll probably go on YouTube. But even with YouTube, I'm going to go learn some shit, So I'm watching videos on, like, okay, if you want to buy, this and times 10x it, I'm watching videos like that because I always want to learn, man. I want to see how other people are running their businesses. And, sometimes I have the same feelings that everybody else gets, like, where it's like, am I doing the right thing? Am I supposed to be doing this? That is super normal. Just don't let it scare you out of doing it unless you really don't want to do it. But those thoughts are normal, man. On your slow days, you do have those thoughts, and it's just things that you got to push through. Or you watch other people's businesses start to flourish, and you're like, wow, I could have been that guy. But it's like, would you really want to be that guy? You don't really know what he has to go through to become that, So it's a lot of going back to what we were saying about watching other people's journeys and just staying on yours,
I've seen you at the LAFC games, all the way, like, if it was a basketball game, you would have floor seats, but I don't know what they call it in soccer, but you're basically on the field, like, with all the other famous influencer people. What are some of the strategies that help you, open that door for you and be next to some of the biggest stars in Hollywood on the LAFC field?
There's no secrets, man. It's just, like I said, I'm a product of hard work and the years. You got to put in your hours. It didn't just come overnight. I had to earn my spot, and I genuinely feel that way. I don't feel like I was given anything. For LAFC specifically, I have a relationship with them now. It's been about 4 years, I would say, but I was just making myself an asset for them. Anything that I can do, I would do it. I don't care if it was simple as being a errand boy and just going to the store, being a store runner. I'm gonna go do that. And my attitude and my willingness to do things like that were what got me into these rooms. Nobody wants to be the guy cleaning up. Nobody wants to be the guy that does the boring job. But it's like, that's how you earn your spot. Eventually, you're not going to be there's going to be someone else that comes on and does that. But, I genuinely feel like I earn my spot every time we go. And I think those moments when I'm at games like that, or I'm doing things like that, that's what makes me realize, not in that moment, but after I go home or something, I'm realizing, like, this is crazy, like, I think I have a post on my Instagram where I say that, like, man, I used to just watch soccer games, with my parents, like, on TV, and now to be just on the floor watching them play is crazy, It's the blessing.
What are some of the companies that you've worked with or worked for where you managed to get people in the door?
Um, well, I can technically say, right, LAFC was one of those, right, where I wasn't officially working for them, but I think I was working with them, right? So being able to do that, I was able to bring in, Bobby Castro and any influencers that they felt and I felt would fit the brand. We would, or the franchise, we would just, have them down there. Same thing with Ethica. I was never officially hired with Ethica, but I would bring them creators and, like King Little G or people that I felt, would fit the brand. And I felt like they lack a little bit in the Latino department. So I just made it my job to put more brown in that building. So shout out to Marty, for always taking care of me there, Vic. But yeah, so, I was recently at Shaka, can't really speak too much about my job that I did there, but I mean, for the most part, you can kind of see everything online. I brought a lot of creators there. And everybody I have relationships with, I just try to do the same, Mario Chilada, they have their own suite at LAFC. After linking True Hustle with them, now they have their own relationship. So they were also invited to that suite that day. So it was dope to see JR that day. But see, that's kind of what I do, man. And you people have to understand you don't always get the credit. If you're trying to do what I do for the credit, then you're gonna be miserable because no one's ever gonna give it to you. No one's ever gonna remind you all these great plays and all these dots you connected. It's not gonna happen. But and for me personally, it's enough. I got pictures or I got the story post to for myself, and people see it, bro.
Growing up, you were an LAFC fan?
Well, we've only had the franchise, 7 years now, I think, or 8 years now, so I can't lie and say I was. But I wasn't really an MLS fan. So I think LAFC got me to start watching MLS.
What about Chivas USA phone?
Damn.
People forget, dog.
What's crazy?
Forget.
People that know that LAFC knows. Like I remember they were trying to brand it in the beginning, like Chivas USA 2.0. Like they were using that like pitch kind of thing. Like this is what the team is, but that didn't work. So they kind of scratched that and they just started doing the black and gold. But
I think the pivot from Chivas USA to LAFC is one of the greatest marketing shifts in recent decades, because you went from having the most paisa chunti team in America to having probably the coolest, sleekest, most like dopest team ever,
in South Central.
right? In the heart of fucking South Central, downtown LA.
Yeah, man, and their branding is on point, bro. Shout out to Rich, shout out to Patrick.
That was a home run, bro. Because people would make fun of you if you were a Chivas USA fan, bro, growing up. Because I remember I think I was in middle school, high school when they came over. It's kind of like the Clippers. The Clippers try to put their billboards everywhere and give free jerseys and give free shit to everybody. But at the end of the day, everyone's always gonna be a Laker fan, for the most part.
Yeah,
They tried that, but not now. Now it's over. Galaxy is not even anywhere near it.
Yeah, and I can't lie. When Galaxy growing up, when Galaxy had David Beckham, I think it was, right? David Beckham.
Yeah.
I think at that point I was like, oh wow, David Beckham, like damn, this is crazy. But it was only for a player, watching for a player. But yeah, I think for LAFC to be the new team and then for them to take over the way they did, it's and then they became the first billion-dollar franchise in MLS, so that's freaking insane. So all the owners they have, Will Ferrell, like bro, it's ridiculous how many celebrities they have there daily. And also, I mean, for them to treat me the way they treat me is cherry on top. So
Dope. Fuck, man. I feel like we covered a lot on this short episode. Definitely gonna have you back to pick your brain about other subjects, but let the people know where they can find you and where they can hire you to be their PR and marketing guy. What is your official title? What do you call yourself?
It's kind of It's case by case, dog. I mean, for me, I have a marketing company, and we can just pretty much represent you, whether it's management, you know, PR. So it's just there's no really one label for me. But I mean, if you do want to sit down with me and set up a consultation, you can reach us at Sour Apple Agency on Instagram. Send us an email, sourapplepr@gmail.com. You know, you can follow me at Chris_SourApple. Yeah, man, thanks for having me.
Appreciate you. If you guys are still watching this episode, make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. Like I always say, for sure leave comments. We gotta step up the comments to all the ladies out there. This is the first time you're able to see the Liddy Club, the new merch. We got the heavyweight. You know what I'm saying? Some light. It says Liddy Club in the back. So if you guys, make sure you guys stay tuned. I'm gonna drop these pretty soon. So to support the brand, join the Patreon. And like I always say, pull up, turn up, stay lit. Let's get it.